Imagine a killer so elusive, so brutal, that over a century later, their identity remains one of history's greatest mysteries. London, 1888. The cobbled streets of Whitechapel are shrouded in darkness, and an air of fear lingers. A shadowy figure moves through the fog, a name that would send shockwaves through history, Jack the Ripper. Victorian London was a city of contrasts. On one side, the grandeur of the West End, where the wealthy lived in luxury. On the other, the East End, a labyrinth of overcrowded slums and desperate poverty. Whitechapel was the heart of this chaos, a place where crime was a way of life and survival was a daily struggle. Amid this backdrop of despair, a series of gruesome murders would capture the world's attention. Between August and November 1888, 5 women, Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, were brutally murdered. Each victim was a woman living on the margins of society. Life was unforgiving for women in Whitechapel, with many turning to sex work to make ends meet. But their deaths weren't ordinary. The killers' methods were horrifying. Precision cuts, mutilations, and the removal of organs, suggesting knowledge of human anatomy. The brutality was unlike anything the police, or the public, had ever seen. As fear swept through Whitechapel, one question haunted everyone: who was capable of such monstrosity? The first victim, Mary Ann Nichols, was discovered in the early hours of August 31, 1888. Just over a week later, on September 8th, Annie Chapman was found in a similarly gruesome state. But the terror truly escalated on the night of September 30th, a night now known as the double event. 2 women, Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, were murdered within hours of each other. The killer's final known victim, Mary Jane Kelly, met an even more horrifying fate on November 9th. Her body was so mutilated that it shocked even seasoned investigators. The murders paralyzed London, and the pressure on the Metropolitan Police was immense. But this was the 1880s. There were no fingerprint databases, no DNA analysis, and no CCTV cameras. Investigators relied on witness accounts and physical clues, both of which were scarce. Making matters worse, the killers seemed to vanish into the fog after each murder. The police received hundreds of letters, many claiming to be from the murderer. One, signed Jack the Ripper, would immortalize the name. But was it truly from the killer, or just a hoax? To this day, experts remain divided. Over time, suspicion fell on various individuals. Montague John Druitt, a barrister who drowned himself shortly after the murders, seemed a likely candidate to some. Others pointed to Aaron Kosminski, a Polish immigrant with a history of mental illness. Dr. Francis Tumblety, an eccentric American quack doctor, was also a suspect. Some theories went even further, implicating members of the British royal family or suggesting a conspiracy involving Freemasons. Each theory has its supporters and detractors, but none has been definitively proven. The mystery endures. Beyond the suspects, the murders raised uncomfortable questions about society. Why were the lives of impoverished women so undervalued? Why was Whitechapel left to fester in neglect? Jack the Ripper wasn't just a killer. He became a symbol of the dark underbelly of Victorian London. The media sensationalized the story, and public fascination turned morbid. Crowds gathered at murder sites, newspapers sold in record numbers, and fear mingled with grotesque curiosity. In the years since, Jack the Ripper has become a figure of macabre fascination. His story has inspired countless books, films, and even video games. Whitechapel itself has transformed. Today, it's a mix of modernity and history, with Ripper tours drawing tourists from around the world. But amid this fascination, it's important not to forget the victims. Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. These were real people with stories of their own. They deserve to be remembered, not just as names in a gruesome legend, but as individuals whose lives were cut short. So, who is Jack the Ripper? A surgeon with a dark secret? A deranged local preying on his neighbors? Or perhaps a figure we've yet to even consider? The truth may never be known. But perhaps that's why his story endures. It's the mystery itself that keeps us asking questions, searching for answers, and revisiting the foggy streets of Whitechapel year after year. What do you think? Could the Ripper's identity still be uncovered? Or will this mystery remain unsolved forever? Share your theories in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more tales from history's darker corners.